Hello YouTube humans and welcome back to my channel. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Amy and I make all sorts of weird and wonderful videos normally surrounding beauty, makeup, skincare, that kind of thing. So if you think you're going to like this video or you've seen me before, hit the subscribe button down below, give this video a thumbs up so more people can find it, and don't forget to hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of my future uploads. In today's video I am going to be doing a full face of favourites for you. I have them all in this little container here. A couple of years ago the ride or die tag was going around YouTube making the rounds and things, and I wouldn't necessarily say that these are my ride or dies, because if I'd have done this 2 years ago the products would have been completely different. However, this is a full face, or will be a full face at least, of my current favourite makeup products that have been favourites and staples in my everyday routine for quite a while now. So let's just dive straight into it. So as with every makeup look, you have to start with primer, and my favourite primer of current times is the Kiko Matte Face Base. This is very similar to the MAC Prep and Prime Skin Refine Zone. It's quite a thickish kind of, whereas the MAC one's quite it's quite a thick kind of creamy texture, whereas the MAC one's almost kind of like more fluidy, I suppose. But this does a really good job of like disguising any pores that I have, and also does a really good job of keeping my makeup like on my face and my face matte for a very long time. I haven't met a primer quite like it, and I will, as per usual, just apply that to like my problem areas. So I'll apply that across my nose, first bit of my cheeks here, my forehead, and then my chin, and I'll just leave that to set. It's not a primer that I use every day, however, if I'm doing like a full face of makeup or I'm going on a night out, this is definitely what I'm wearing on my face. So this has been an absolute staple for me for about 3 years now. I absolutely love it. Then, once you've primed, you've obviously got to move on to foundation, and my favourite foundation, probably I'd say of all time, is the MAC Studio Fix Fluid Foundation. I have mine in the shade NC15. I have many other shades of this foundation. I recently did a foundation review of this product, and it is definitely one of my top 3 foundations of all time, possibly my most favourite of all time. However, the one glaring fault with it, as I did mention in that video, is that I cannot wear it for more than 2 or 3 days in a row before I end up with massive breakouts across my skin. But it's like it's definitely medium to full coverage. They have a great range of shades. This does look ridiculous right now. As soon as I blend it out and it sets, it won't look quite as stupid. It lasts like one of the longest lasting foundations on my skin. It makes my skin look really smooth, glosses over any textural issues I may have, applies really well with like a sponge and a brush. I just love it. It's just because it is so full coverage and it is so long lasting. I just can't wear it every day. I'm trialing loads of foundations at the moment. I'm going to start a new series on my channel, the Foundation Fridays, where I will be reviewing a different foundation every Friday, conveniently, as the name suggests. And I've just ordered loads of foundations that I think might be quite good for me. And I'm going to trial them for a full day and see how I get on with them. But I just love this foundation so much. Unfortunately, it's so close to being like absolutely perfect for me. It's just, I can't wear it all the time. So it's normally a foundation that I will use for nights out, where I need kind of that longevity, because I'm not going to bother bringing like concealer and powder and brushes and sponges when I'm going on a night out. I want it to last, and not for me to have to touch it up every 3 or 4 hours. So when I need that longevity, this is definitely what I'm reaching for. And my preferred method of application, as with most foundations to be fair, is to kind of buff it in first of all with a brush, and then work it in with a sponge just to kind of remove any excess product. As you can see, quite a lot's come off there, and to just make it look a bit more natural on the skin rather than not so kind of heavy and mask-like. So now that I've put a decent layer of that on and I've kind of removed any sort of shape or face or definition from my face at all, I will now go in and blank it out even more with my favourite concealer. And slightly controversial because I've only had this concealer for about a month. However, it is the only concealer that I own that I like, and it's the MAC Pro Long Wear Concealer. Again, I have mine in the shade NC15, and as I've mentioned in probably, well, pretty much every video now, I am a really good person to test concealers because I hate every single one of them. I don't know what it is about my under eyes, but nothing at all in terms of concealer works for me. They all go dry, they all lose their coverage, they all just go really creasy and crappy and crepey, and this is the only one that I don't completely hate. I still can see kind of some pigmentation, and I can still kind of see like the darkest part of my dark circles. However, it is not that bad, and at least it is quite moisturising because it is quite a liquidy concealer. And I'll just try and bring a bit more hydration to the area by using my Real Technique sponge. Definitely my favourite products because I'm not paying £16 for a beauty blender. No way, Jose. Now that I've even more blanked out my face, I am going to powder because I am an oily skinned girl and I need to powder, otherwise I'm going to spend 20 minutes looking fine and the rest of the day looking like an all slick mess. So my current favourite powder, and it has been a favourite of mine pretty much since it launched, is the Fenty Beauty Invisimatte Blotting Powder. I've absolutely mauled this. I've used my bronzer brush in it, which is why it looks completely and utterly ridiculous. And I am going to use what is also a favourite product of mine. This is the Morphe M536 brush. This is the brush that I use to set problem areas. So for me, that is underneath my eyes and across my eyelids. Because the brush is quite round at the end, I find that you can kind of get right up underneath your eye and it doesn't irritate at all. And I will use that to pack powder onto my chin, set my nose, and I will definitely use a pressing motion rather than a swiping motion because otherwise I run the risk of disturbing my foundation underneath. And I will just set here. The foundation's quite matte anyway, but I mean, I'm showing you how I would legitimately do a full face of favourites. It's just gone really dark. I think it's just because the sun's gone behind a cloud. Then moving on to my favourite bronzer, it's actually the Summer of Love Triple Baked bronzer by I Heart Makeup, kind of like their rip-off of the Too Faced bronzers that came out. I can't remember exactly what they were called. I know the blushes were called like Sweet Cheeks or something like that. But I really had a hard time picking my favourite bronzer because I didn't really start wearing bronzer until probably about a year ago, because I thought I was too pale for it. I probably still put too much on, and I probably am wearing a shade that's slightly too dark. But I have so many bronzers that I love and that I rotate on a daily basis. I wear like the Hourglass Luminous Bronze Light. I wear Kiko ones. I think mine's the Jelly bronzer that I've got. It's one of the pink neon packaging. I've got a couple of Too Faced ones that I really like. I've got the L'Oreal Paradise one, the Bronze Life one that they came out with, I think a couple of years ago. And I love them all. And I've recently bought NARS Laguna as well, which I have been using quite often. But I thought to myself, if I had to pick one bronzer to use for the rest of my life and I could only ever repurchase this bronzer, it would be this one, because it's so similar to all the other ones. I like kind of a sheeny finish in my bronzer. I've just made a right mess of that. I like quite a sheeny finish in my bronzer. I like it to not look flat and to have a little bit of luminosity to it. I've just made a complete arse of that. Oh well. And it's probably most similar to the Hourglass one in that sense, but the Hourglass ones are £45. And I couldn't legitimately put it... I mean, I would probably use it more often than this one. No, actually probably I don't. I probably would say I use this one most days, because it gives me enough colour payoff. It does the job really, really well. And it was only like £3 or £4. I think this was possibly the first bronzer that I bought and stuck with back when I was like 22, 23. Imagine getting to the age of 22 and never using a bronzer. But I was just so scared of being tangoed, and then I realised like actually kind of how to use it. And as you can see, I just keep adding more and more and more onto my face. But yeah, just love it. I'm so sorry if the lighting's completely gone, but I think it's gone behind a cloud, so there's nothing I can do about it. So we shall soldier on and move on to my favourite blush. Now, I am definitely a peachy, shimmery blush kind of girl, and I have so many of them in my drawer of products that I've actually conveniently left open. I'm just going to close. But if I had to pick which one I would say is my favourite, I would probably have to go with the Model Co blush in the shade Peach Bellini. So that's kind of what it looks like there. As you can see, I have completely moulded this. I think I've had this for probably about 2 or 3 years, and it was my everyday blush for a very long time, until I got my Hourglass and Too Faced face palettes. And because I'm inherently a lazy person, and quite a lot of the time I do my makeup for work on the train, having a face palette with highlighter, blush and bronzer, and in the Hourglass case, highlighter, blush, bronze and powder, is just so much more convenient for travelling, and they have massive mirrors. So I've kind of put that on the back burner, but when I sat down and thought about it for the purposes of this video, I absolutely had to pick it as my favourite. I would say MAC Warm Soul is definitely up there, but again, I've not had that long, so I couldn't say that it was a definite favourite. But absolutely, if all my makeup suddenly disappeared, I would definitely run out and buy this again, because like the shimmer, it's not even shimmer, it's like a sheen on the skin. It's just enough that I don't feel like I need a separate highlighter. It's a really kind of face brightening, universally flattering shade, and I just don't think you can go wrong with a shade like this. And I think I was definitely under a tenner for this, and it's lasted me absolutely ages. So it's definitely up there in terms of like favourite products that I've ever used. I mean, look at it, it's so pretty. And in terms of setting spray for the face, it obviously has to be the one, the only, the Urban Decay All Nighter Setting Spray. I think I probably own about 7 or 8 of these at this point, and they're all opened and they're all on the go, but it doesn't matter because I will use them. Sorry, it's really hard to spray and talk at the same time. I can honestly say I haven't noticed a massive difference with most setting sprays that I've used. However, with that one, I really do see a difference in the longevity of my makeup, particularly demonstrated when I'm wearing a mask. I don't feel that my makeup transfers onto the mask as much, and it just seems to just stay nicer for so much longer and on my face for so much longer. So, I mean, that's an absolute winner for me. It is expensive, but it's worth absolutely every penny to me. Then we will move on to my favourite brow products. I say products because for me, my favourite brow products are 2. It is the sadly discontinued Eyelure by Fleur de Force Brow Powder duo. Mine is in the shade medium, I believe. And then I have the Maybelline Brow Drama Brow Mascara in the shade dark, medium brown even, not dark brown. I think my preferred method, as I have learned over the past couple of months for filling in my brows, is powder. Just because it seems to give me a bit more natural a finish. And what I like about this particular palette is that it's very similar to the, do anybody remember Freedom, when that was still a brand that existed? But they used to do these really tiny compacts with 2 different colours in. And this was back when I was in my ginger phase, and they did a really nice kind of not too warm brown shade called Auburn, which matched my brows perfectly, frankly, but it had a lighter shade and a darker shade, so it meant that you could do a gradient brow. So I will generally use the lighter colour in this first section of my brow here, and then I'll use the darker colour for the remainder of my brow, and then I'll just brush my hairs up with the Brow Drama mascara. So I am going to go do that off camera, otherwise we're going to be here for about 8 years. So I'll see you in a bit. And I'm back. So I appreciate you have already seen this product throughout this video, but this is my favourite eyeshadow palette, probably of all time. This is the Too Faced Gingerbread Extra Spice palette. I believe they brought this out Christmassy time, autumny time last year, and it is just beautiful. I mean, it is absolutely gorgeous. 18 lovely shades that are all warm and delicious and look exactly, I've just stuck my finger in one of them. Oh no! But it's okay. And they smell like gingerbread cookies, which just makes them even better. I'm definitely a warm toned eyeshadow girl. I don't do neutrals, I don't do anything like that. If I'm wearing any sort of eyeshadow, it's normally bright orange and smoky and blown out, frankly, to my temples. So I think today I'm probably going to do a more simple look than I have normally. So I'm going to use the shade Soft and Sweet, which is like a warm pink-ish kind of colour. I'll just use that as my transition. I think I'm going to go for a pink look today because I wear orange so often, and so rarely do I wear the pinks. But I mean, for me, this has got a great selection of shades. The formula, obviously with it being Too Faced, is therefore impeccable. It's got a really great mix of like light shades moving through to your dark shades. You do have to like your warm shadows for this palette to be a good one for you. However, the clue's in the name. It says Extra Spice on it. If you're buying this thinking it's going to be neutral or cool in any way, then frankly, you, sir, my friend, are a bit silly. But you know, I knew what I was getting into when I bought it, and it's just absolutely fabulous. So you've got like some really great transition-y colours with like the lighter shades through here. You've got great deep colours for smoking up the outer corner. Great range of shimmers here as well. The only thing for me is that because of the kind of looks that I do like to do, there isn't like a really deep chocolatey brown in this. They do have the shade called Cookie Call here, which is like a deep purple, but for me, I think for this to be a perfect palette, it would need to be, there would need to definitely be a dark brown in there, because I mean Candy Queen and Half Baked are quite similar shades. You've got Lick the Spoon, Cookie Cutter and Drizzle It, which are all variations on a pink shimmer. I would think that one of them would be able to be removed and a dark matte brown to be included in the palette. However, minor niggle. I still love this palette completely. I'm then going to go into the shade Hot Tamale, which is like a really deep fuchsia-y pink, and just gonna put that kind of on my outer corner and swipe it through my crease a little bit. I am going to blend this out, don't worry. It's not going to look completely ridiculous. And then I'm just going to use a flat shader brush and fuck it, let's go into Drizzle It, which is like one of the, that's probably the darkest pink shimmer. It's the one that I stuck my finger in earlier. I say pink, it looks pink in the pan. It's not coming out pink on my eyes, it's coming out bronze. Don't remember it being bronze, but hey ho, we have started. So we shall finish. Okay. And then I'm just gonna grab like a, just gonna grab another brush for my lower lash line, and I'm just gonna use Hot Tamale across my outside lower lash line, and the shade Soft and Sweet on the inner part of my lower lash line. Clearly I'm not worried about looking like I have pink eye, but it's fine. I'm going to go in with my favourite eyeliner. This is the Eyeko I Do liquid eyeliner. This is in the shade Carbon Black. It's kind of like quite a chunky pen, if you can see that. If you can't, well then oh well. But that's my preferred shape for doing eyeliner, because I do like quite a thick wing anyway. Now, there's no chance of me being able to do this on camera, so I'm going to just hop off and I'll come back when I finish. BRB. And just as I come back on camera, the sun's gone away. Yay! So they're not Instagram worthy, however they are eyeliner, so they are on, so that's something. We're then going to move on to my favourite mascaras, which right now is actually a combination of two, because I'm extra like that. This is the Tarte Lights Camera Lashes Mascara in the black shade, and then obviously a classic Lancome Hypnose as well. I don't know what started me on wearing two mascaras, but I've been doing it for a very long time, and I think I'm just a bit extra like that, so that's fine by me. But I like the Tarte one because it gives me the length and the separation, and then the Lancome gives me the volume. Both great products, quite expensive mascaras, but I haven't found ones in the drugstore that I think are comparable. So I'm going to now be quiet and try very hard to not get mascara all over my eyelids, although I probably inevitably will. So let's try and look out for that. There we go. And finally, not that this video hasn't been long enough already, but we're going to move on to my favourite lip combination, which is the MUA Intense Colour Lip Liner in the shade Caramel Nougat, however you want to pronounce it. And then the Rimmel, the only one matte lipstick in the shade Trendsetter. I very rarely wear lip liner, however, when I do, I'm wearing this one. They're only about £1. Got a great range of shades. They're just hard enough that you can get a precise line, but not so hard that they crumble off everywhere. I think this is probably my fourth one of these. And it's like my kind of perfect lipstick shade of like brown but still pink. And they also come with a built-in pencil sharpener, which is really good. And then I love the Rimmel, the only one lipsticks, and my preferred formulation is matte, just because they don't seem to bleed as much everywhere. I mean, my lips are horrible and chapped and ruined, but this is doing quite a good job at disguising it. And despite them not being from the same range, they actually match quite well. So there we go. That is a full face of my favourite makeup products. Let me know in the comments down below what your favourite makeup products are, so I can waste even more of my money by buying them and trying them out. Like I said earlier, please hit the subscribe button down below. Don't forget to turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any of my future uploads, and give this video a thumbs up so more people can find it. And other than that, I'll see you next time. Bye guys.